And I now recognize our ranking member, Senator Wyden, for his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and colleagues, it has been 82 days since Robert Kennedy Jr. was sworn in as America's Chief Health Officer. In my view, his tenure has been nothing short of a disaster. The United States is now on track to experience the worst measles outbreak since 1992. As of Friday, there have been 935 cases reported across 30 states. 2 children have died, yet Robert Kennedy continues to offer up lies and junk science that are dissuading parents from vaccinating their kids. 96% of the cases are among unvaccinated individuals. Robert Kennedy continues to cherry-pick scientific studies, and then he twists them to promote his own viewpoint on issue after issue, from vaccines to fluoride in drinking water to autism. Unfortunately, Mr. O'Neill, who's been nominated to serve as Mr. Kennedy's right-hand man, has been cheering him on every step of the way, including as recently as last week, when he told my staff that he thought Robert Kennedy was doing a, quote, good job on addressing the measles outbreak. I want members of the committee to stop and listen to Robert Kennedy's own words I think that are vile about Americans living with autism. And I'm going to quote here. These are kids who will never pay taxes, they'll never hold a job, they'll never play baseball, they'll never write a poem, they'll never go out on a date. He goes on to say autism destroys families. His job is to speak to the American people about their health care. His words matter. When parents of a child with autism hear him say things like that, it matters. I'm confident that every member of the committee has met with a family or an individual with autism. The things Robert Kennedy has said about these Americans is not only false, it demonstrates that he views those with autism as somehow being less than a person. This reckless rhetoric also stokes fear. Robert Kennedy is talking about creating a national registry for kids with autism. If you're a parent, what are you supposed to think when an individual who thinks autism destroys families also wants to create a national registry for their kids? In my view, this is bone-chilling behavior from somebody responsible for Americans' health and well-being. The consequences are already, sadly, coming into view. Parents who think their kids might have autism are scared to seek a diagnosis or treatment out of fear of what this administration might do to them. Democrats on this committee warned the public about the consequences of Robert Kennedy's bizarre views and blatant disregard for science. It was equally clear that some Republicans on this committee shared those views, but that concern wasn't great enough to overcome the overwhelming pressure from Donald Trump and his allies to rush through the nomination. All of that takes place amid a sweeping and chaotic upheaval at the Department of Health and Human Services. That's where Mr. O'Neill is nominated to be Deputy Secretary. This position amounts to the Chief Operating Officer at the agency. Now let's just kind of add up what's going on over there. Over the past several weeks, Health and Human Services has lost 20,000 workers. That ranges from cancer researchers to those who help seniors access Meals on Wheels. I was at Meals on Wheels in Portland recently. We have a wonderful person, Paul Knowles, 94, who says he sees nobody during the week except the person who delivers the meals. But for some reason, we're going to go after Meals on Wheels with the Trump crowd. And as one fired public health expert put it, we don't know what's killing us. Unsurprisingly, this meat cleaver proposal resulted in essential personnel and critical research getting cut. That includes fundamental national priorities like eliminating lead exposure for kids. Robert Kennedy has said as many as 1 in 5 workers at HHS could be reinstated, while the media reports confirm there are no such plans. Either Robert Kennedy has no idea what's going on in the agency, or he is lying once again. I suspect both are true. Mr. O'Neill sounds like, based on what I've learned, that he'll be another yes man for Trump and Kennedy. It's worth noting that Mr. O'Neill's views made him too extreme already once in the Trump tenure, made him too extreme to be confirmed as a position of the FDA during Donald Trump's first term in office. While historically the FDA evaluates products for safety and efficacy, Mr. O'Neill has said that only safety should be considered. In effect, the FDA, with this view, would be rubber stamping drug approvals regardless of whether there's evidence that the drugs work. If Mr. O'Neill had his way, apparently Americans would still be using Benjamin Bly's soothing balmy oils to cure head and neck cancers. The consequences of the Trump Republican health agenda on American families is in center focus now. That's because Republicans are finalizing their plans to cut hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid. That would terminate health insurance and Medicaid benefits for millions of Americans, including kids and seniors. Let me wrap up by touching on the nomination of Gary Andres. He's been nominated to be congressional liaison at HHS. Since Donald Trump's inauguration, senators on this side of the committee dais have not received a single substantive response to our inquiries, not one. So I want all to understand what is on our mind today. It seems clear the majority has surrendered any pretense of congressional oversight, but in my state and the states of my Democratic colleagues, the American people are demanding answers. Robert Kennedy promised radical transparency. Those were his words when he came before the committee, but what the country has received instead is radical secrecy. Mr. Andres is going to be responsible for course corrections on that front. I hope we'll hear about a bipartisan commitment that holds him accountable for that. In his current role, Mr. Andres released House Republicans' wish list of more than $2 trillion in proposed Medicaid cuts and hundreds of billions more from programs that help families afford food, energy bills, and child care. Mr. Andres should also answer for this anti-family grab bag of cuts targeting the most vulnerable kids in America. So we have a lot to talk about today. I look forward to it, Mr. Chairman, and thank you.